الان صدا میاد. صدا میاد.
صدات میاد.
صدا میاد.
صدات میاد داره.
خب بذار یه دقیقه من با این وصلم. خب صدا میاد. تو حرف بزن.
صدای من میاد.
آره خیلی خوب. پس اوکی. Okay, so let's begin. So let me actually say why we speak English in this session. That weirdly both of us speak English, but we do hold this session in English. The reason why is we want to save that. Also, we invited non-Farsi speaking guests to visit this talk that we hold, and we thought that actually if we switch to English, so more broad, like much broad audience can actually enjoy it, visiting it, and that's why we switched to English. So although we both speak Farsi, so if you have questions or comments, it's okay that if you write it in Farsi as well. Yeah, that's it. This talk is actually following the event series on in Pator. Pator is a student cultural events, which you see that actually where the live started in, and we are a non-profit organization, cultural organization registered in city of Munich, and about a year and a half ago, we ran this series of events called On, AHN, to try to find artists that, from our point of view, we think that actually need. From our point of view, we think that actually they deserve to be echoed, their voices and stuff like that. So we wanted actually to paid our contribution to promote these artists that actually we find out like in our vicinity or not even in our vicinity, and we try to actually once play their work or selected works, and then afterwards talking about that. So usually we stream one cut and one selected series of artworks of the artist, but this time we did that actually 2 weeks ago, and due to technical issues, it was not possible that actually we carry on the speaking, because there was a problem with the sound, that the sound was not synced together and stuff like that, the image and everything. So we tried to actually fix that. So now that's the best way we could fix it. Now you see Andisheh, it's a bit actually narrowed down. His
I'm actually much better than this. It thins me down, so
yes, he's not that thin. No. He's not that thin, yeah. It's more round, actually, like the scale of the face. Yeah, the scale of the face is actually more like me. But yeah, you can profit this oval shape of his. Okay, and now we try to postpone the talk so we can actually fix the technical issues, and then actually then we can talk about like the works of his in more relaxed way, that we only like solely speak about his works. Okay, that was the introduction, and I hope it was not too long. So let's go and proceed. So we actually went to some part of the talk, but since it was really like bad due to the technicality, so we thought that maybe it's best that we start from scratch, from all over, and then yeah.
Okay.
Pretend that nothing we did not talk about it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So let's begin. So Andisheh, so it would be best if you start with like a introduction of yourself, so we can actually right away jump into your works.
Okay. So my name is Andisheh Bagherzadeh. I think you've guessed that already. I'm an Iranian artist that is resident in Florence. I'm 28 years old. I've been living in Italy for the past 9 years, but I left Iran when I was around 16, 17, and I haven't been back since. Most of my work is actually related to this topic right here. The concept that I work on is a hybrid national identity. So it's a concept in which I've been working on for several years. I've been doing a lot of visual research, and the idea is not really the fact of mixing two national identities to get one, rather than creating a new category on its own. So the idea is that a border can be expanded into a surface, and a new culture is born out of these travels, these crossroads, let's say. So that's a very brief explanation of my work, but I think as we move along, I'll dig in a little deeper into some concepts and some ideas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's begin with this idea of your something that covers most of the work, that actually like the works that we at least we projected and we showed in the video cut. That by the way, people can actually also we stored that today, and also they can also watch that in our YouTube channel, a part of YouTube channel. So there is actually an idea of, like as you said, of digging this identity, national identity, in your artworks, and to me is very important. Why is it actually some sort of, let's say, confusion, or with a euphemism, actually like a, let's say, hybrid on the identity? But let's stick to the non-euphemism version of it, like the confusion version of it. So why you think that actually there is some sort of confusion of the national identity in your perspective towards toward the aspect of national identity, let's say?
Yeah. So traditionally, the concept of having a nationality is something that is strongly rooted in the past. So I see it as a temporal concept, in the sense that I was born in this country, therefore I am. My parents were born in this country, therefore I am X. My idea, the work that I try to elaborate, is a temporal concept that's not only rooted in the past, but it is also rooted in the present. In what sense? In the sense that, yes, I was born there, but as I proceed, as I move along, I'm also making cultural roots. So the roots, the cultural roots that I'm making proceed in both directions, both in the past and present. The idea is that as you progress, you adapt new culture, you create new culture, you create new tradition, which is related to where you've come from, to your roots, but it's also related to your context. It's also related to not only your physical, let's say, your geographical presence, but also a more, it's a bit deeper than that. It goes through a more personal process. Now, again, I don't. It's not really a matter of creating a category in which certain people are placed in, because that's just making a brand new national identity without having any geographical basis. It's like saying, okay, I'm creating this new country, and you are a part of this country. This is the country of the hybrids, or something like that. But that's not the idea. The idea is that national identity is something that goes a bit deeper than just the divisions that we've come to know. That's basically what I work on, and it's not also, when we say confusion, oftentimes we think of who am I? That's the big question when you think about confusion. But it's not really about who you are. It's about all of those cultural and traditional ties that make you who you are. It's not a matter of personality, because if you say who am I, then you can start defining yourself with your job or your habits or your passions, but that's all personal. When we talk about national identity, we start talking about things that englobe a larger group of people. The thing that I try to convey in my work is that it's not a matter of confusion, because you can be whoever you want to be. We're in a free world where I can decide tomorrow, I don't know, to change gender. It's not really about who I am, but it's about who I am made to be, who I'm represented to be. Because when you talk about national identity, it's not something you can really decide. The traditional notion is that you are from this country, you are geographically bound to this country, and therefore you are also culturally bound to this country. Now, my idea is that yes, you can be geographically bound, but culturally you can expand. And that expansion is where the hybrid identity is born.
Mm-hmm. So in your artwork, so there is some kind of a grasp of this national identity, that by borning in a geographical, let's say, a position or a coordinate, you'll automatically take this heritage of your cultural heritage and also your geographical boundary, but your main ideal or struggle is to say that actually is not limited to time and space. And although you accept this notion that you do inherit that from the past, but you want to say that actually, although you accept and you recognize this very inheritance, since there are actually also some readings of this notion of nationality that also don't recognize this inheritance of the past, but it seems that you do recognize this inheritance, but you say that actually it shouldn't be due to bound it to this space and time.
Analogy would be, when you think about culture, it's like you said, you say cultural heritage. So the word heritage means that you've inherited something. It's been passed on from another generation. So I think, yes, culture can be inherited, but it can also be acquired. So the idea of hybrid identity is both inherited and acquired. Yes, it is temporal. A really nice way of putting it is the way Nicolas Bourriaud put it in one of his books, where he explains it in botanical terms. So the difference is, national identity traditionally is like a tree. So before a tree can grow large and tall, it needs to have strong roots, and those roots are the traditional notion and the traditional aspect that we see in national identity. But the notion of a hybrid identity is like the vine tree. A vine tree grows in length as far as it can grow in roots. So it proceeds in both directions contemporarily. It's not something that, it doesn't need the strong roots in order to go forward. It expands further in both directions. So that's the idea that I think most definitely explains this concept in more simple terms. Because I mean, with these things, you can throw around a lot of big words, but I think it's a lot more simple if you put it in terms like this.
Yeah, very nice. I didn't know that about the wine tree, so it's very interesting analogy. But yeah, very interesting.
I'm very interested in gardening.
Um, yeah. And wine, apparently.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, so just one other like additional question before we go to the works. I like I see in your trajectories from Iran that you went to Cyprus and then to Italy. Like there are countries that they are newborn, like completely newborn, like US or Canada or Australia. So they were a country before, but actually they were massacred or totally like
Hmm.
control of it or like totally reset, and they made a totally brand new country. So there are countries like this. There are also countries that actually, although they are brand new, but they relate themselves to something in the past or some other culture, like Israel or also Cyprus.
Hmm.
But they also have a like some kind of connotation to the past, okay, because they relate themselves to the Greek, or they relate, or they think at least they relate themselves to something that happened like before.
Yeah.
And there are countries that actually, or even Italy. Italy itself, it's as a country, it's quite new. It's 200 years old, but that's not the idea of the people living inside
No,
of it.
no,
So
no, no.
they think that okay, it's the Roman Empire, so they are the inheritance of the Roman Empire and stuff like that. So but having this said, I think that actually, like in your trajectories, you actually moved from Iran to Cyprus and then Italy. So, like the countries that actually that they still like the cultural identity or the reading of this natural identity still actually lies in the past a lot.
Yeah,
So there
yeah.
are actually like Germany as well that they're it's not that common that you root back because it's not very
No.
beautiful what happened in the past. Yeah, but I see that actually in your trajectories that actually you landed in the countries that is still the some kind of proudness in the past and stuff like that, exactly like Iran. So do you think that this relation of this national identity that you still want to insist on the roots and getting back to the past, it also has something to do to this trajectory. So you may have been someone else should
Yeah,
you have gone to
that's
Canada.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's actually a good point. That's a very good question. So yes, it is true that they're relatively new countries, but one very important word to describe both countries is the idea of patriotism. So
Yeah.
patriotism is that massive big word that really describes these countries that, like you said, may be relatively new but are extremely rooted in the past. So I think mm, when we talk about culture and tradition, it's a basic human need. You know,
Hmm.
it's enough to look at countries like Australia or America, and personally, I can't say that I've lived in either countries, but looking at the tendencies in general, they tend to want to root back to something, even if it's not theirs, even if it's not something that they've grown up with. It's not rooted in their traditions, but at the same time, they acquired it in a different way. They acquired an inheritance. So in this sense, it kind of gets reversed. You gain something that you believe is inherited. Now, I do think that if I were to travel somewhere else, most likely I would have probably made different works and been a different person. But I mean, I think you can say that for anything. The thing with Cyprus and Italy is that um, yes, there's a big the concept of being a patriot is very strong, and it's coming in from the outside. It's also hard to digest because you feel that patriotism. And patriotism, if it's done right, it can also be something beautiful. You can really get emotionally involved, and you can see that, like the way, for example, this is just a random example, but in the Euro Games, there was a lot of articles about how Italy was yelling out their national anthem. Whereas all the other countries were just, we're singing along, but Italy was just yelling out their national anthem, like this battle cry or something. And, there you feel the emotion. And for me, I can't really take part in it, but at the same time, you can't help but to feel their emotion. It's there, it's present. Now, just imagine living that and being there, and then having this idea that you're not here, but you're not there either. I'm not in Iran, but I'm not really in Italy either. I'm not a part of their society as I would consider myself. I'm always an outsider. But at the same time, after it's been like, what, 10, 12 years that I haven't been back in Iran, you start feeling an outsider to your own origin. So there you're kind of stuck in between. And if you don't start creating your own traditions and your own, a new brand of culture for yourself, at that point you just feel lost, because like I said, culture is a basic human need. So if your basic human need isn't, if you're thirsty, you're going to look for water anywhere, and perhaps you might even end up drinking mud. But at the same time, that's the idea. It's that you're going to search for it. You're going to crave it. Now, again, between having this idea of a hybrid identity and being a patriot, there's a massive gap, because to be patriot is to be loyal to one. It's not a matter of saying I'm a patriot of this country and this country. No, you pick one. That's how patriotism works. But at the same time, I find it an interesting concept, an interesting topic of how this one thing really unites or divides people.
Okay, so let's go, and then actually, because this is also something that me personally, and I think actually like in the broader brush, so anyone going in the process of migration or going outside, not as a tourist from the country of origin, will face it, because it confronts you with something that you thought that for granted. You thought that, okay, it was always there, and you never thought of it as actually like seeing the word somewhere else. And you never thought of being Iranian when you are in Iran. So you say, yeah, okay, I'm Iranian. As soon as you go out and you say, okay, so there is a difference. So there is a difference of actually like understanding what is red, what is white, what is green, and all of these stuff. So it means that it's also like part of anyone going out of Iran as well. Yeah. But let's actually, because actually we can actually like skip completely like your artworks and completely talking about this, but I don't want to do that. So I want to like talk about these things during talking about your works as well. So let's talk about your the first work that we showed in the video, the base that you basically, for the audience that haven't seen that yet, or maybe for mind refreshing. So he basically takes current version of the Iranian flag, like the registered one, like in the UN registered version of the Iranian flag, and he wash it. He rinse it with bleach, and that's the whole idea of like this video art. I don't know how to call it. Like, is it a performance? Is it a video art? I don't know.
It's a performance video. Performance video, yeah.
Okay, so it's like this story of the performance video, and so let's stick to it. Okay, for me, so I think we left Iran like in the I left Iran 2011. I think it was no 2010 it was. So it was in the same time that actually also you left Iran.
Yeah,
But to me, I left actually a bit like with the like older age. So I was done with my bachelor. Um, so to me, actually, like taking like forget about like this bleaching a flag. Forget about that aspect of it, which is quite shocking. For like if you, for example, if you like tell someone that I took one flag, one national flag, and I bleached that. Okay, so that's quite, but per se, it's shocking itself. But let's set that aside for time being, and then let's stick to the fact that actually you took this this flag, like this flag, which is actually right now never, let's say, in the whole life of that flag, which is 42 years old, it was never broadly accepted from, let's say, broadly accepted. It said that, okay, so many people accepted that, but you couldn't say that 100% of the people of the Iranian accepted it. So it was always challenging and something controversial, even to take that flag with you. It was that controversial that actually, to me, as I was also getting emotional watching a national team, it was always to me to say, okay, forget it. I won't take a flag at all. Okay, I never take a flag because I say that, okay, so if I take this flag, it's I'm not quite sure if I want to take the older version of it because it's not there. And the newer version of it is said, yeah, I cannot like undo the history that is behind that, and the massive like crackdown and everything that is related to the new flag. So to me, it was I say, okay, forget it. I won't take a flag. So I go out and then shout. So to me, and many other people that actually like have the same trajectory as mine, it's like taking that flag and accepting it as your national flag. It's not something very accepted. And I see that actually, let's say, set beside like this idea, as I said, of bleaching a national flag. So in your work, you let's say take this flag as if it's a normal flag, but it's not. Yeah, it's a flag of Islamic Republic of Iran. Okay, so it's different than a flag of Germany, let's say. Not the let's say
it has a different political charge behind it.
Not the GDR flag of it, which has a symbol like in between, but like a normal tricolor of German flag or French flag, or whatever. So these are actually like some kind of things that you say, okay, so at least for massive majority of people, they say that, okay, it's not that much. It's only national identity. It's a national flag, but it's not the case, at least for this version of the flag. So I mean, so did you want to like ignore these political aspect coming to it? What was it? As if that actually, so what? I don't care. I don't care that actually what kind of political things actually is related to it, and then I want to do my art, or what was it behind it?
Okay, so I think the answer to the question, a good point to start is right at the beginning where you said performance, video performance. So it is a video performance. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Just start from beginning. Now it's good.
No, I said I think a good point to start to answer this question is exactly at where you started, where you asked if it was a video or if it was a performance. So it's a video performance, and to stay true to the idea of a true performance, I think there's two concepts to consider. One is reality, and the other one is truth. Now, obviously, anytime you take a flag and you do anything to it, you know, the most common thing that happens is people burn flags, and that's always a matter of rejecting something, or it's a symbol of protest. Now, for me, it wasn't really that. It wasn't a matter of protest. The reason that I chose
Mm.
this flag is because it's part of my truth. But my truth is that when I was born and raised in Iran, I was raised every day in school, raising that flag, singing that national anthem. And as much as it may not represent me or my ideas or the majority of people that are living in Iran, it is a fact. It's a truth. And to deny that truth is to be in denial. So
Mm.
say the other flag represents me. Now that is your truth, but that's not true. It's a person being in denial. And as much as this flag is charged with political power, that's one of, I think the politics is just one of the hidden colors of our flag. You can't really wash that away. As long as, yeah, there's three colors, but there's a fourth color, and it's politics. And I think the washing of the flag and trying to take away those colors, in a sense, you're also taking away that political power. Again, it's not, you know, as soon as I grabbed the flag, I thought about all of the consequences, because there are consequences. Yes, it is a flag that comes with a lot of meaning, and comes with a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of loss, a lot of hate.
Mm.
But at the same time, it is the truth of where I come from and where I grew up. It's like trying to hide a scar. You know, no one likes to show their scars on the beach, but it's there, and you accept it. It's a part of you. And
Mm.
the idea was, yes, I will take this flag, and I will wash it, and I will try to take away these colors. But it wasn't trying to take away the colors out of spite, out of hate, or as a sign of protest.
Mm.
It was, for me, it was a demonstration, it was a manifestation of that idea, of this idea that I'm not bound by these colors. These colors may represent me, but they are not they do not present me. They represent me, but they do not present me. I will not be presented by merely three colors, or in this case, four. Um, so the idea behind the fact that there are several layers to this flag, there's a past behind it. That is true. And another reason why I didn't want to bring that in was because then you start taking away from what I want to say. You start sending a different message altogether. You start talking about uh, internal politics, and although I am interested in Iranian politics, I never really talk about Iranian politics. And the reason
Mm.
behind that is not a lack of interest, but rather an abundance of respect for the people who are living it on their skin every day. I think if
Mm.
I would talk about the politics of Iran, it would just be a massive insult to the people that are living the inflation, that are living the difficulties, that are going to work every day and coming back home, and they're frustrated and they're angry. And then I come along and I say, hey, I understand your frustration. I don't. I can't allow myself to say something like that, because it's not, first of all, it's not true. And second of all, it's not honest on my behalf. So what I can do is I can talk about my relationship to it. I can talk about my perspective on it. And the washing of the flag is my perspective. Now, again, it's a performance. So I took the flag, and I did what I did, and I did it in the most true way possible, as if I had people around me. So it's a video performance in the sense that I don't want it to be only a video. I don't want to make a trailer or a teaser, man washes flag in theaters.
Yeah.
Okay? So it isn't about being theatrical. It's about making a statement and
Yeah.
taking a step.
Yeah. Regarding making statements, I asked the first question regarding this political aspect of this current version of the Iranian flag. that since it really matters that what is actually your intention behind it, because
Of
if you
course.
want to take this political aspect of it as well, as since you like pour the bleach first of all on the emblem of the current emblem in between of the Iranian current version of the Iranian flag right now, it could be also understood in a
Of
way
course,
that
of
as
course.
if you want to take that part of out of it. So it means that it could be like understood in a way that actually you want to actually take out the fourth color of
Yeah.
the Iranian flag. Uh, it
That's
could be seen as this way.
I
Yeah, I
knew
don't know if it's a coincidence that you pour it in between, or it just or you wanted also to go for
it
that.
wasn't.
You
No,
can be
it wasn't
uh,
intentional. It wasn't intentional. I'm
okay.
really, I didn't aim to pour it in a certain
Yeah,
way. Of course, when I took it, I knew that there was going to be a risk of
yeah.
people maybe, I wouldn't say misinterpreting, I would say interpreting the work differently from what I was originally what I originally intended to do. But the
Mm.
thing is, that interpretation is absolutely 100% Iranian.
Yeah. Yes.
Will
Yeah.
never
Yeah. Yeah.
never think that that would be the main thing, and I actually enjoy that because it shows layers to the whole idea of culture. How different, how massively different two interpretations are based on what you've lived. I really enjoyed that, but no, there wasn't really a specific goal in order to make a political statement. Like I
Hmm.
said, I use the flag as a material, but I use national identity as material.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
and as neutrally as you would treat material, because if it was a block of stone or if it was clay, you wouldn't think that this clay comes from the lands of, unless you start writing that in the statement. You say, okay, well, this is a special clay that comes from Tibet, and monks have blessed this clay. You could say that, and then that
Yeah.
material becomes something new. But rather than that, I just wanted to treat it as clay or as stone or as
Yeah.
just raw material.
As flag, let's
Exactly.
say.
Flag, exactly.
Flag that happens to be like my current national identity that actually I live with.
Yeah,
So, because
exactly.
it's very important. So, I also like saw that Nazanin actually wrote a comment here. So let me read that because it's also some kind of related to one part of the work. So she said, from my personal experience, in Italy, there were really few chances to integrate into society except you leave part of your identity behind. People were also people are also some kind of pushy.
Yeah.
So this is her experience. So regarding this being pushy, so I get back to that. It's also part of the thing that I also want to ask. Not about the Italian being pushy, so about like this Italian and Iranian stuff like that. So, uh, on the matter of fact that you try to wash the colors away,
Hmm.
it they don't wash away. They don't go.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
don't
yeah.
go
The
out
colors
of the
were not
flag.
gone. They
So
weren't gone. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they don't go, and the question is, so so
Why
one actually you can't
did
you
away?
can't tap on the shoulder of the material that you purchased, which is actually here is a bug, not a feature. But let's say like that part aside, how do you let's say how do you interpret that? Because it was a live thing that actually I understand that you could have shown like a white
Like a white.
flag or
Yeah, yeah.
at the end or fake it or like keep like pouring bleach like at the end
I
in
did pour a lot of bleach. I,
sprinkle hours or something.
yeah.
But is let's say how do you interpret that actually they don't go away and why couldn't you like wash them away like how now that actually what was your first intention or first ideal of that work? So
Well,
because before like going to the work, so there should be an ideal that okay, I prefer that the white flag comes out.
mhm.
And what was it? Yeah.
Well, okay, so let's first get the technical aspect of it out of the way. Yes, the flag was extremely resistant. I did not expect the flag to be, but you know, these flags are made to be outdoors, so I probably should have picked an indoor flag that was a little more, was a bit more sensitive. No, but so it wasn't for a lack of trying. I did really try to bleach away the flag. I did try to take away the colors. And I wasn't fully successful in the end to take away the colors completely. I did take away they weren't saturated, but you know, I wasn't able to do it. But the reason that I didn't put a white flag at the end and I used it all the same is again due to the fact that I did a performance video. So at that point, again, it's the truth of the work. It's the truth of the process. And I allowed the work to happen. And the way I saw it in the end, and the reason that I didn't want to change it, because I could have easily just put a white flag, like you said, and turned it into a video, is because
Mm-hmm.
at that point it becomes it gains an aspect of illustration. So I'm illustrating an idea rather than performing it. So my idea, my whole goal was to have the audacity to take a flag and bleach it. It was that is the work. Because if I were to write the sentence, I bleached my flag until it was white. I could have written the sentence, and that's the result. But the fact of actually bleaching your flag is, I thought, is such a powerful element in itself that it doesn't need a result. So I showed the result in the end. But what I did was, and this is very subtle, it's not really something I wanted to pay attention to, I turned the flag vertical. And the
Yeah.
vertical flag shows the colors of Italy. So
Yeah.
it's the Italian flag divided in that way. And that was something that was born out of the process. Now, if I were to be very closed-minded on that and say, okay, well, no, I need to take away these colors and I need to show a white flag, at that point, I'm not trusting the process, and I'm leaving out all the possibilities of things happening within work. It's the same thing as painting. As you're painting, maybe something happens, and to be open to these little events and these accidents, I think it's important because it adds a layer of I think it just makes the work a little bit more profound because you allow things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, the whole process, I saw it as more of a therapeutic action rather than something that's an action of rebellion or protest.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also see that in the way that I wash the flag. And you know, initially there are these violent actions. I'm violently trying to push out the color, to scrub it together, and then in the next shot, I'm just slowly pushing it down, trying to be gentle. So you know, there's also an emotional aspect, and that the emotional part is part of the aspect of performance. If I were to do something else, I think it would turn from performance into acting, and
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to act it. I didn't want it to be just a video that illustrates an idea. I want it to be this whole therapeutic process, this whole emotional process.
Mm-hmm. Um, so my question was actually your, let's say your ideal performance. Yeah. Let's
Mhm.
see, actually, let's say that, yeah, I accept that you didn't want to fake it and just show a theater instead of a performance, video performance, and you wanted to like stick to the fact that you want to stay as real as possible. I do understand that, but I just want to ask, so your ideal outcome of that would be you having a white flag, or you having being able to mix the colors of these three colors together to make a new color. So my question is that
What was
you
my
wanted
initial
to,
purpose?
yes, your not your initial purpose as a color. I mean your statement.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
wanted to wash it completely to draw something new on it, or you wanted to mix it as a hybrid of the these three colors, which happens to be the three colors of your country of origin and country of residence. You wanted to mix that to make a new color. That was it your intention to mix the color together, or to make it like a white platform so you're free to draw whatever identity you like it. Which
So,
one was it?
the initial purpose was not to bleach it completely. I didn't want to make it
Oh.
completely white. Also,
Mhm.
because this was a proposal that I had done for a show, and in the proposal, in the rendering that I had done, I didn't make it a completely white flag. It was very pale. It was much more pale than the result I got, but it was still there. The
Mhm.
idea was inspired by the concept of a palimpsest identity. Palimpsest refers to the fact that that you write something, you wipe it, and then you write something on top. You can still see
Oh.
what was written underneath, but you still write on top, and then you wipe, write, wipe, write. So the idea was that, and no, I didn't want to write anything on top. I just wanted to have that white canvas. The idea is
Mhm.
possibility. It's not a result. It's never result. It's always process. Usually in my work, I rarely think about what the result is going to be. I always think about what the process is going to be. So
Mhm.
again, the idea of having that white flag is to say, color it the way you want. You're free to do. It's a matter of liberation more than saying, okay, these are my new colors. It's because that's a statement. I'm making a statement. I am represented in this way, but I didn't want to say that. I just want to say that I have the possibility to be
Mhm.
re-represented, and maybe with those new colors you can bleach it again, and then put new colors on. That's the whole idea of palimpsest. I've done other works that in which I've tried to cover this specific concept, but yeah, that's the initial idea. That was the initial idea. Again, I
Mhm.
bought an industrial amount of bleach at the supermarket. They really when I got at the counter, the woman was like, "Okay, well, this guy is very clean," but yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not though.
Okay.
I tried different brands of bleach. I tried different products. And the thing is, you really can't a lot of YouTube videos on how to bleach flags. So it's yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So regarding this, like this visual, like seeing that you clawing and you scrubbing the flag. So there is actually like this Persian saying that, or it's a Quranic verse that you say that claw to this pillar of the religion, something like this. So it also comes to the mind when you're talking about like this nationalistic aspect of it, that when you divide, there is something that unites you, and this is your national identity, which you claw to take it.
Yeah.
At least it makes sense when you talk Persian, but yeah, clawing,
Well,
since it has
it's
a
also an English thing. You say you're clawing at something to hold on. Uh,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
Yeah, but
similar.
clawing usually for tiger and stuff like that, you usually say grasp it tightly or something. Yeah, but let's say clawing it. Yeah. So, did you really think about this while you were clawing this national identity of yours, let's say flag, or it was just your pathetic struggle to watch have this big work? Which one was it?
Okay, so the actions in themselves, again, like I said, they weren't really planned beforehand. I didn't say, okay, I'm going to try and wash it in that way.
But
More
no, no,
than
but
anything
in the
else was
that you were doing it, in the time that you were
yeah. In the
doing
time
it.
that I was doing it, I wasn't thinking of symbolic actions rather than
Yeah.
trying to be to put emotion into it. So it was more than intellectual thought. It was just emotional reaction. So the idea was just really trying to violently get at this flag and to try and wash it. And I mean, again, I could have scrubbed, I thought about that later. I said, okay, why didn't I scrub it a little? But at the same time, it was that. It was that I was trying to wash it violently, and afterwards, again, in the next shot, you can see I'm trying to push it down, to leave it in the bleach, push it down until it's completely covered. So it was almost like wrestling with this flag. I wanted that. That's what I wanted to convey. That's the image. The image was this fight between me and it, between and then in the time that I was doing it, it may sound a bit weird now, but there were a lot of thoughts going through my head because as you're doing this, you're thinking about what you're doing, and it's your flag, and it's not, as much as it may seem like it was something superficial that I just took. There is a relationship there. There is a lot of memories. There's a lot of frustration. There's also a lot of happiness. And as much as it may not represent me, there's so much of me in it that, in a sense, it was, like I said, it was therapeutic. It was fighting with that thing and saying, why did you make my life so difficult? And then at the same time, I miss you. So it was, there's a lot of emotion going through at that time. The actions in themselves, they weren't really planned out. They just happened, and I managed to get it on film.
That's very interesting. What you're saying is, yeah, I can't imagine that actually like such thing comes up when you claw your flag in bleach.
Yeah. I recommend everyone claw their flag. It helps.
Yeah, which is not a quite frequent thing that people do. Yeah, okay, so let's get back to this regarding this vertical and horizontal version of the flag that you said, and relating that also to the comment that Nazanin said regarding this integration inside Italy. As you pointed out, so that as we were talking about that was not the thing that actually I could notice that, because nowadays there's actually massive problem regarding actually holding the video horizontally or vertically, because we're living in the era of the cell phone, and this is not the same. Your idea of like understanding the image is not really the same as like 10 years ago, that it was like the video was always landscape. So this could actually like bring you a lot of thought, should it been 10 years ago. But this was not something, like, honestly speaking, that actually caught my eye in the first, because yeah, maybe that's maybe it's actually a shot for, let's say, for Instagram, for whatever, or like this. But as you mentioned that actually there was an intention behind it, that like so the original shot was landscape, and you intentionally put that portrait or horizontally as if it's a flag of Italy. So it becomes actually more interesting to me that what was actually your point of view regarding like going to this orientation game between Iranian flag and the Italian flag, which is like the 90-degree rotated version of it. So what was your thought behind that?
Well, the shot is actually the original shot is still horizontal. It's just I'm moving vertically and showing the flag. Now it's completely comprehensive. What you said, it's actually very true nowadays. Horizontal and vertical shots, as much as it is a technical, it is something technical. It also really changes the way we read images. It wasn't really meant to be there to represent something very important, or wasn't a key aspect of the work. It's something that I had noticed when I came to Italy. When I came to Italy, I was a kid, and I didn't even know where the capital was, so I wasn't very enlightened on my travels. But as soon as I started seeing the flag and then thinking, oh, those are the same colors, it's just turned the other way around. I always thought about this, and I thought about how how funny of a coincidence it is. It's a coincidence that my flag is just it's horizontal and their flag is vertical. I put it in at the end because it was the last shot to show the result. The result of the flag was that it was desaturated. But I didn't put it in as a means to say, look, now I'm also a little Italian. It was more like it was just a hint at that reality. It's almost like an Easter egg, or just a small element that I wanted to put in there, which is personal for me. Because, like I said, this isn't something that's related to Italy per se. It's not a matter of saying, because that would just be hypocrisy. That's like saying, no, I'm not Iranian. Look, I'm Italian. It's like trading one nationality for another. It's not that. That's not the intention. It was just a hint at what I personally am going through in my life. Now, just to go back to that comment from one of the viewers. Yes, integration in Italy is very difficult. I believe integration in general is difficult, but integration in Italy is quite a challenge. And to integrate, I think, really means to leave a part of yourself out. I think that's just a part of the process. And if you're willing to accept it, then you do integrate. Now, my idea is that yes, you do need to leave something out, but what you leave out is something that you decide. And that's the whole idea of the hybrid culture. Now, to integrate means that you become part of them. To be, let's say, to have this hybrid identity is to be part of both and to not be a part of both. To have your own street, your own road, your own piece of symbolic land, in a sense. There's a comment that I see now. You define it as fight or a process. Well, it depends on your idea of a fight or your idea of a process. Because I mean, even a fight is a process. If you're thinking as fight as a struggle, yes, it's a struggle. It is a struggle. It's difficult. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that happens. It may take years. It may even break people. I've seen people, and it's not about saying, it's not about being dramatic, but I've just seen people that have struggled so much with it that they just said, I can't live here. I'm not built for this. If you think of it as a fight, as in I versus them, then no, then that's never going to work. Because in a fight, you always have an adversary. If you're thinking of I will battle this adversary, then you're going into it with the wrong idea. Because then it's always a matter of patriotism. Then it's always a matter of, yeah, but we do things in a certain way and you do things in a different way. And maybe I do it better, or maybe you do it worse. So if you go in with the idea of a struggle, yes, it's going to be a struggle. But if you go into the idea as a battle, as me versus you, then you're always going to find yourself clashing. You're always going to find yourself clashing and not accepting certain realities of where you live and certain realities of where you don't live anymore. So that I don't know if that answers the question.
But I like what I understand about what she wrote, Tarana wrote, is the process is something that happens. Like you wait, it happens. Yeah, it happens. Then actually after like a couple of years, then you're integrated. Fight, it could go both ways. Either you struggle to be accepted, or you struggle not to resolve in and always seek for adversary. So I understand this comment as this way, that actually like this process, okay, so it's a process that happens, like for some later and for some sooner, but it happens. You don't need something, it happens. So do you think it's a case that
I don't think it's a process. In that sense, I don't think it's something that just happens. I truly believe that you need to actively be there. You need to do something for it to happen. It's not because it's one thing to live amongst and it's another thing to integrate. To integrate really means that you've entered not only in an economic mechanism or a social mechanism, but you also integrate in all those other more profound aspects, the cultural mechanisms, the traditional mechanisms. Now, if you think that you're going to live in a place and after a while you're going to accept everything, well, that's not really integration. That's just you saying okay to whatever is around you. But to integrate is to
So
really
you
take part.
yeah.
Differences are beautiful. To not see the difference, I think, is being closed-minded, and to see the difference as a barrier that you cannot go over, then that's just putting yourself in a cage. But to embrace differences, that's something else. If you embrace where you live and you say, okay, well, I live in a beautiful country where you have this and that and this and that, or accepting the reality that you don't live in that beautiful country that you remember, and maybe you don't have those products, and maybe you don't have those traditions, but at the same time, if you accept it and you move on, you really do start to integrate. Again, we're always thinking of a scale, whether one side is heavier than the other. You're always going to be in the middle, trying to measure. If you're always trying to measure this side and that side and this side and that side, then it's always a division. There are always two materials, but put them together and it's something else. It starts changing. The idea is it's a metamorphosis. It's no longer water and oil, because they'll never mix. You can try whatever you want, but as long as you see them as two materials that won't mix, it's not integration. It's important to understand that term, integration. I don't know if that answers.
At least quite my understanding of it, it does answer. So let's proceed, and then let's move to the other one. I try my best to pronounce this Italian name, Castelli di Carte, Castle of Cards. Yeah?
Yes.
So Castle of Cards. So this is actually, I guess that, because Castelli di Carte should be Castle of Cards, which was correct. Yeah. So I see that. So honestly speaking, actually from the first, seeing the picture of it, I couldn't notice that was marble. But actually this, the work hasn't been made to be seen online. So I'm sure that if I were there, I could have noticed that this is marble. And so for a mind refreshing for the for memory refreshing for the audience, so it's actually like a let's say a card buildings made of the Iranian passports, made out of marble or marmar in Persian. So we have a comment here. Let me make a pause here and just read that. For the future generation, what will be as a flag? Is the flag of the planet Earth and the flag of Italy or Iran just says where you were born?
Well, that's also an interpretation that's very valid. Yeah, sure. I mean, again, it's another form of what we were saying beforehand. Yeah, globalization is a big thing that's happening. It's reality. We're getting closer and closer, and I think at one point we're also going to start seeing these flags as just a bunch of colors. Most likely, it's possible, very much possible.
Yeah. So let's get back to this marble passports made castle card buildings or card structure. So the first thing that actually I noticed or came to my mind as I understood by reading the statement that these are made of marble. Um I actually I remind of like back to, let's say, um, yeah, uh, 90s, like Gregorian 90s in Iran. So, like using this marble facade of 3 centimeter brick on the facade, that was like more or less unwritten sign of you coming from upper middle class,
Yeah, it's
not
a
a
status
very upper.
symbol. It's a status symbol. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. So completely upper class, but upper middle class. So you
Mhm.
use that. So not really people talked about that, okay, this is sign of that. Now I know that you're from the upper middle class, but it was an unwritten law that every people knew that.
Mhm.
So the first thing that came to my mind, so were you referring to that, um, let's say, social Iranian class in 90s, or you were just using marble as just a valuable material? So it could have been gold or something else. So you just took marble because you wanted to show the notion of um, being valuable, or you were also like between the lines referring to that social class that we more or less coming from, like middle class,
Yeah.
upper middle class, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, that's a very good question. It's a very important part of the work. The fact that I used, well, it's technically it's marble dust because I made a cast of my own passport. So
Mhm.
it's not really sculpted per se. It's actually a cast version of my passport. So it's a very small detail, but it is still marble. It's just I had to cast it, so it's a technical use. The use of marble is related to the fact of it being valuable.
Just a moment, because I'm not sure if we leave now, if it'll be all saved. So let me end the talk now and then rejoin, and you can rejoin it, because yeah, I just reminded that it could be actually we lose everything for more than 1 hour. I'm not sure. Sometimes it works more, but let me finish that and then get back
Sure,
like
sure.
right now.
I'll see you in a bit.